Hey guys, we are back again for another live, and look, successful technologically. I'm always pretty amazed by that because, it's very easy for me to mess that up. I wanted to welcome everybody who is here for the first time and anybody who has not been here before, and anybody who's been here before and has come back. I'm really always excited to see you guys, and you do make me more motivated to write, and hopefully I'm making you more motivated to write today too. For anybody that's joining us from Facebook, welcome, because I love that you're all there, and I get the comments afterwards sometimes in my DMs. And so even if you're too shy to kind of speak up in the live stream, that's totally fine. I'm always happy to answer your questions or help you along in your writing process, because that's what this really is here for, is to help you in your writing process, help you get the momentum, help you get over those fears and insecurities and doubts, help you get the words on the page, and then how to know what to do with those words once you've got them on the page, right? Like, that's the hard part. You get them down, and then how do I fix them and turn them into a really compelling book? That's what we're here for. We're going to write a better book. That's my slogan over here. So if you're looking to be inspired, we're hoping to jumpstart your writing today. I'm just going to use that. I got that name. Might as well make the most of it. And every week we do these on Mondays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our schedule will change a little bit towards the end of September because I am traveling a whole lot, including our first in-person writing compelling fiction event in Fort Wayne, Indiana on the 26th of September. If you're already on our newsletter list, you're going to get some information about that later today. So if you're just watching the replay, I also want to say welcome to you, and let me know in the comments whatever you're writing, because I still see the comments even after the live is done. Wendy, I scared her, so sorry. And welcome Brenda, welcome Cheryl, welcome Wendy. Nice to see you all. I'm just always so happy to see these jump starters, see, making use of the name here in person, because it really does motivate me. I'm working on that short story again today. My client had some edits, which are pretty minimal, so I'll have to figure out what else I'm going to do with my writing time today. And I've got some exciting writing projects coming up that I can't wait to tell you guys about, but I can't mention yet. We're still working on them. So drop me a comment and let me know what you're working on today and what you're hoping for. And with you guys that are here, I wanted to, hey, Half a Mo, nice to see you back. I wanted to ask you if you would be interested in me dropping a writing prompt before these sprints. I'm thinking I could put it into the circle community, or I could put it onto the event page for the writing live, so that then if you kind of don't have anything to write about, you just have something to get you jump started. I know, see, I worked it in again. And yay, I'm so glad that everybody's ready to go. So if you think you'd like to have some kind of writing prompts, because I always find them kind of fun. When I used to have my in-person group at Barnes & Noble in Fort Wayne, I always had writing prompts, and some of the things that I wrote from there, because I would write while everybody else did too, were kind of cool. I should have turned them into books or stories or something, but there's always way more ideas than hours in the day for me. So if you're interested in that, just let me know, and I will definitely start doing some of those. Okay, so our plan for today is what it's always been, which is 3 10-minute writing sprints, and I'll play some music. You guys write. You let me know if you have any questions on your writing in between, and we just kind of do it together. Like I said, I'm going to be working on that short story today, and maybe jump back to my book or jump back to something else that I can't tell you about yet that I'm working on, that I need to do a little research on, because I've got a whole bunch of character stuff here that I've got to implement into the thing that I am creating. I'm dying to tell you guys about it, but soon. Half a Mo is forcing her heroine to face her fear today, but it's early in the book. So the question for me today is how much to reveal. That is a fantastic question. So one of the great techniques in fiction is to have your character have a fear and also have them fail at getting over it over and over and over again. This is one of the things that I learned with my first book, was to have that happen. And so my heroine in that first book was afraid of being out in public and embarrassing herself, because like her whole life, that's all she'd ever done was kind of publicly humiliate herself. And so the very first thing in the book is she is selling fruit baskets on the sidewalk outside of her shop. It was a comedy, dressed as a banana. And people make fun of her and they throw things at her, and it's just completely humiliating. And she feels like it is a big failure. But it's not a debilitating failure. It is just the kind where people are like, oh, she's embarrassed. They may not know what her deepest inner fears are of of really truly failing and letting down her family and herself and not being what she dreamed of being, that isn't revealed in that particular scene. It's just sort of a normal, quote unquote, fear of humiliation and embarrassment. So that first time, I'm kind of doing just a little baby step into it, partly because the character is also not aware. You know, if you've ever done therapy or like a really long conversation with a friend, where you kind of work through the issues that you have, and by the end of the few hours that you've spent, because it doesn't happen in the first 5 minutes, but by the end of all of that time, you have some realizations. Like, I just had a girlfriend that she and I ran a few miles the other day, and so we were together like an hour and a half, and we were talking about some relationship things she was having, and at the very tail end of the run, and now she's been in this relationship for a while, so we've talked about it several times, that's when the kind of light bulb came on for both of us, because we're talking all of these things through. So it'll be the same for your character. As they try and fail, they're going to start realizing what their real fear is. It's not just necessarily a fear of heights or a fear of speaking in public. It could be a fear of total abject failure and letting down the family and being the first person in the family to, embarrass the entire family name. That kind of thing. They'll realize as it goes on. So I'm hoping that helps answer your question, Half a Mo. And if it doesn't, hey, just ask me again in another way and I'll figure it out. And Cheryl is doing the highlighter method. If you don't have the highlighter method of learning to plot, which is a free handout on my website, which I'm going to post that right now. That is a free handout on how to plot your book that Cheryl downloaded and she is using right now to kind of go through one of my books and do all of the highlighter stuff to it. And it was really funny because in the Circle community, she asked me whether she was right on the worst nightmare and the deepest emotional fear. And it has been a long time since I wrote that book, and I had to go back and reread it for myself because I didn't remember enough of it to figure that out. So that's the website. You can go there and download the highlighter method of learning to plot. It's a free ebook for you guys that can help a lot. And Wendy's working on fleshing out character stuff. Awesome. Okay, so let's get to our first 10-minute sprint so I'm not just chit-chatting the whole time, because I could do that. Anybody who's known me in person knows that I could. We'll write for 10 minutes and then we'll be back and we'll talk some more writing when I come back. All right, happy writing. There we go. That was a quick 10 minutes. I didn't get all the way through the edits because I'm thinking a lot as I'm doing that. So at least I got to start. So that's good. So how did your writing go? Did you have a great session? Did you get stuck? Did you learn anything new about your plot? Just share in the comments if you want to about how it's going for you. And if you're stuck in your dialogue and you haven't popped over to the YouTube channel yet, I wanted to share the video that I put up, I want to say yesterday, which is all about the 7 rules for writing dialogue. And it includes writing exercises to help you implement those lessons and to understand how they actually work. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely go and do that. I'm going to share another quick tip about dialogue on TikTok either tomorrow or the next day. But this is the main video that really gives you the things that dialogue should always do. And I think it's one of the things that writers struggle with. Even though a lot of us can write good repartee, or we can write quick, clever little quips from our characters, we're not necessarily using dialogue all the way that we should. And Cheryl got through 3 pages of highlighting my book, and hopefully it's going well, and I'm doing all the things that I tell you guys to do in the book. And Brenda's working on some edits, so that's awesome. And yes, I totally get it on how edits go slowly, because that happens to me sometimes too, where it's just I really don't know how to fix what I need to fix until I get into it and really try hard. So it's also been a very busy week at the company, my company. We had a book that we launched that I don't have in front of me, but it went to #1 in Amazon in 3 categories. So I'm very proud of that. It's a nonfiction book, so it's not in the fiction category like we're talking about, but I just wanted to share. So if you're not a member of the Circle community, then I highly encourage you to join that. I posted the link right there. And Hafamo, her heroine has to do something, but she's scared of it. She just has to do it, trying not to make it too melodramatic. That is definitely a balancing act between the two. And so you want to kind of work in, at least my tip on that is to kind of work in the action, like her taking the action with just some narrative, not a ton of internal narrative, because that will keep it from kind of going too far. You know, like she takes a step and thinks, what if I fall off the edge? And then takes another step and, you know, what if this happens? And so you're just kind of working those two things in together. And Wendy's working on internal and external emotional stuff for the main characters, which is awesome because they definitely need the internal. I forget who said it this week on one of the videos that I posted, but they talked about that internal insecurity with the characters is just so key. It really is. And I recommend really studying other people that do it really well, because the people that are super talented at this have a nice deft way of working it in without it being super obvious. And yeah, Wendy, definitely download the Circle app, because then you get the notifications on your phone when something happens. And Cheryl has been having a great discussion with me, which I need to answer some of the questions in there. Cheryl's posted lots of really great stuff in Circle that I think everybody can learn from. So if you're not already there, come over. It's free, and you can learn from a lot of the discussions. And the book club book, which I wanted to announce, we're going to do The Stranger Inside, Lisa Unger. I had started reading a different book and wasn't really thrilled about it. So I'm going to still give that other book a chance, but I think Lisa Unger's book will be very good. Any recommendations of people who do it well for internal? So I read my favorites. I absolutely love Ruth Ware. If you want to do first person studying, she does a very, very good job of those insecurities and working those in with the characters, especially the ones like the It Girl, where she's in this situation with the cool kids, and she's not a cool kid. Like, I think she does an excellent job with that. I also loved In a Dark, Dark Wood, because that was also very, very well done. If somebody that felt like they didn't fit in with the other people. Lisa Jewell does a pretty good job. I like Lisa Unger a lot. And Dennis Lehane, of course, he's like my favorite ever. But he's a male writer, so I don't think that the male writers always necessarily put as much internal in there as they could. But Small Mercies, as dark as that book was, he did a very, very good job about layering the insecurities of the character about the place where she comes from and whether she feels like she fits into the world or not. I'm trying to think of who else I've read recently that has been super phenomenal, like a book I want to read again. I'll have to think about it, because I'm not thinking of anything off the top of my head. But yes, if you've read a book and it stayed with you and you just absolutely loved the character, then that's probably a book that you should study, because those are the ones that impacted you. And you want to read what impacts you and then kind of emulate the skills that those authors have. Kristen Hanna's really good, I think. She does a good job with that. And I don't have books in front of me in here. I've got some Lisa Jewells in here. I've got Laura Dare did a good job with The Last Thing He Told Me. I don't have a whole lot to read that's in this room. It's mostly all how-to books in this room. So I always forget what I've read. I read a lot. But those would probably help you a lot. Ashley Poston, Wendy recommends. I've never heard of that author, but I'm sure she's phenomenal. I liked Lucy Foley's The Paris Apartment a great deal too. It was very Agatha Christie-ish, but like a modern day Agatha Christie, and it's multiple first person points of view that she did very, very well, where you could really tell the characters apart, and I was quite impressed by how she did that. So for sure, check those ones out. I did a review of The Paris Apartment on my channel as well. Okay, so let's have another 10 minutes, and then hey, Fat Squatch Games, nice to see you. I do love that channel name, it's hilarious. Okay, so let's do some more writing, and I'm going to get done with this short story hopefully on this 10-minute writing sprint, so that then I can get to the other cool project that I can't talk about yet. Thank you so much, Fat Squatch Games. And Half a Mo romance and going too far, revealing too much. Yes, for romance, definitely look at some of the people that are not as romancy, I think, if you want to kind of keep it less, Okay, I'm not saying that romance is melodramatic, but some romances can be melodramatic. So people like Lisa Gardner and Suzanne Brockman do a very good job of keeping it from going too far on the melodramatic side. They also are doing suspense, but they're very good at that kind of balance. I'm trying to think of who else I've read recently, but I really like those two specifically. I think Lisa Gardner is an incredibly talented author, and so is Suzanne Brockman. So kind of check out the people that aren't being super purple prose-ish. Again, Kristen Hanna's really great as well. So, all right, 10 more minutes, and then we'll come back and talk some more about writing. Okay, guys, we are back. That was our second sprint, and I got to finish that short story. So I'll send it off to the client in a minute, and hopefully she loves it, and we can move forward. I think I told you guys last time that it's a children's book, which is always super fun to write. I've written several of those, and this one's been super fun. I love romantic suspense, by the way, Half a Mo. I absolutely really love it. I've written several of those. I have another one coming out in January. And the book that I work on most of the time during the writing sprints is a supernatural domestic suspense. So that's been super fun. And thank you, Fat Squatch Games, for smashing that, reminding me to smash that like button and share this stream. If you aren't already subscribed or haven't liked it or commented on it, I encourage you to do that, because all of that keeps this visible so that other writers can be encouraged and can learn. So that's definitely my goal, is to teach you guys whatever you need to know so that you don't have to write 10 books in 8 years before you sell your first one. If you haven't seen my quitting story, it's on my channel. And it really was a difficult journey to get from unpublished to published. But I'm glad I learned all those lessons, because now I can share them with you guys and save you all lots of effort, hopefully. And Cheryl, yay on finishing chapter 7 and on to the next chapter. That's awesome. And then let me see, what else did I have to tell you guys about? Don't forget that there is the in-person event on the 26th, like I mentioned, because I'm very excited that I'll get to meet a lot of you in person. And if you're struggling at all with your motivation, remember that I am cheering you on from my little corner of the world here. This is exactly what we all need. And I think that these writing sprints are great because we've got all of this community building in here. And we've got people from all over the world, right? Like Scotland and England and everything. I'm just like super stoked by that. It's so bizarre to think about that there are people from all over the country and people from all over the world that are in on this stream. So we have one more to go. And I want to do one more 10-minute sprint. I get to work on something new and fun because I finished my work, so I feel like a good little girl. I get to do the fun stuff. And then I'll come back and answer any final questions that you guys have. So be sure to drop them in the chat. All right, so 10 more minutes and then see where you get. It always goes so fast, doesn't it? I finished that short story, sent it off to the client, and started researching for the next thing that I get to start working on next time we have a writing sprint. So I'm super excited. I have all these ideas that I kind of wrote down and the stuff that nobody can read probably I won't be able to read when the time comes. I'm pretty bad at handwriting without a doubt. So let me know how you did in the comments, and if you want to work on something different next week. If you do want to try writing prompts next week when we meet for Monday and Thursday writing sprints, let me know, because I would love to do something kind of fun too and add to what we're doing here. Maybe just like one prompt on some kind of thing that you're struggling with. So just drop something in the comments, even if you think about it like 5 days from now. Just let me know in the comments and I will be happy to add something else, because I like writing prompts too. I think they're fun. And yes, Half a Mo, so happy to to have you join us and get inspired by that. And I keep all my notes in all caps as well. Like, go back and name this person, describe this person, whatever city this is, all of those things that I don't remember. And it's funny, if I'm writing more than one book at a time, I tend to use the same secondary character names all the time. And so I'll have to like rename all of the secondary characters. Like everybody's a Keith or a Kevin or something like that. So I have to make little notes to myself to keep that straight, or I'll get them confused because I'm going between 2 books. So I am super stoked that you all were here. If you're not already a subscriber, I do encourage you to click subscribe on the YouTube channel. And I can share that right this second. I should have had the link beforehand. And click the like button on this sprint, on these sprints, because if you do that, then other people see them. And if you are a writer, you know how valuable that kind of support really is. So be sure to click like, or whatever you're on, share it, whatever you need to do. I would really appreciate that. And Cheryl's almost done with chapter 6 and wants to write a little synopsis of the book. And again, it's a book I wrote a long time ago, so I'll probably learn something, Cheryl, from that. And she's got 2 more books to highlight. That's part of the highlighter method of learning to plot, is picking 3 books to learn from. And Wendy and everybody, I am so glad that you were here, because you guys really do inspire me too. And I will be back at 4 o'clock Eastern on Monday and Thursday next week. So be sure to click notify me on the YouTube channel as soon as I put that stream up there, which will be right after we get off this one. And I will see you next week. Have a great weekend, guys. Thanks for being here.